those are great points that you brought up. One of them was actually a part of the question lineup, so maybe we'll bring that up first. May I first confirm how much time do we have for the Q&A, so I'll frame it accordingly. 5 minutes. Okay, I heard 15. 5 to 10, okay. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead with the first question, and maybe where you left, Pratna, maybe we'll begin from there, and then move on to the other questions that we have on the table. And I'll open it up to anyone from the panel to ask. I think we have the mic there, so I'll ask from here, you can answer. Is the question, and Pratna, you can add, that in spite of knowing the air quality, knowing the impacts on the health, like we have that knowledge on the table and with a lot of citizens in this city, why are children going through that? Like when we know they are the most vulnerable to air pollution like that, like is it, and even for government to stop certain power plants or to impose plans like order even, why do they wait for so many days before it comes into action? Is it the lack of urgency? Is there a lack of some independent body at the government level? Or what do you think the problem is? I'll open it up to you guys.
It's clearly the will to solve the problem in X amount of time. And as far as I'm concerned, I've only seen two people in the government who are really concerned. One is Suresh Prabhu, the Minister for Commerce, and the other one is Mr. Amitabh Kant, who are absolutely aware that something has to be done. And I would refer to one conference organized by CII when they had these two people as speakers, and Mr. Amitabh Kant was in the chair, and he said, it's an emergency, we've got to solve the problem. Mr. Suresh Prabhu walked in and said, Mr. Amitabh Kant, you are the person who has to solve the problem. Because the problem starts with the burning of the waste in Punjab and UP and Haryana, and you need to fix it, and average person cannot. And we cannot pass orders to say, thou shalt not burn. And because we cannot really prosecute these guys, although the rules exist. So we got to find some ways of doing it. And fortunately, because of that, this was about 2 years ago, and the government gave funds to these three people, three states. And this year there's been some progress, but it's going to take some time. So the government is aware, they're trying to do something, but some governments, some state governments couldn't care less. I mean, it's all about making sort of tamasha for it. Yes, we are concerned, but there's really no concern.
I agree with you, sir. In fact, we have seen that a lot of the biggest changes that especially have come in cities like Delhi, whether it was stopping the cutting of 16,500 trees in Netaji Nagar recently, was due to the strong citizen movements when they came together. So even for an issue like where the parents feel that the kids, it will be unhealthy for the kids to go to the school on a particular day, or the employee feels that his health is going to go for a toss if he goes to office that day or to the field that day, why can't all of them come together and take a stand that, okay, today is where we are operating from home, we are not stepping out. Like, if 2 people out of 1,000 say that, it will never be heard. But if 200 out of 1,000 say that at a forum, I think it will definitely be heard. So I think that's something that is something to be considered. But yeah, please, Dr. Ashish.
Yeah, I was just hearing Ms. Bora speak. So she spoke about the zonals being kind of held at a time where the air is hazardous. But think of a larger platform. The Airtel half marathon was just concluded. And if you actually saw the AQI, it was way above what was permitted. So if an organization, such a big organization, is arranging or organizing, and the organizers, the government, and everybody is allowing it, who's the school to kind of not stopping a zonal? So I guess, I'm reiterating, it is us. It's a civic society and the morality of everybody to actually stop things and take some radical steps before we actually wake people up and say, well, it is way beyond emergency. It's not emergency, it's way beyond emergency.
Exactly. Okay, great. So I think we'll move on to the next question quickly, and I'll address this to Dr. Arun Sharma. A simple question. Indoor air purifiers, are they really a boon or bane?
The shortest answer lies in removing the word or and replace it and. It's a boon and bane. Why it's a boon? Because primarily it reduces the PM 2.5 concentration, no doubt about it. But air does not specifically mean PM 2.5. As Mr. Kamal pointed out, ozone is an issue, VOCs are an issue, and more important from health point of view is not the quantum of PM 2.5, it's the chemical composition. It depends whether it's going to be carcinogenic, is it going to cause cancer, or is it going to cause chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or is it going to precipitate an attack of heart attack in a layman's term, in a person who is already compromised. That will depend what constitutes that PM 2.5. So this purifier simply reduces, and this also acts as a vehicle for bioaerosols, the PM 2.5, which carries the organism and causing infection. Now, unless that is one component. Second part is that the air purifiers are made to work in a closed environment. All information we have that if you put it in a room of X cubic meter, then it will reduce the PM 2.5 by a certain limit. Now in a household, practically, where you have say 2 bedrooms and a drawing room and a kitchen and a balcony, can a person be confined to one room because it is purified air? So the technology has to evolve. Previously we used to have air conditioners installed in the bedroom, that when I'm going to sleep I should have temperature control and the other rooms will not have. Then we started having air conditioners in every room, and now we are having centralized air conditioning systems. So unless we have a centralized air purifying mechanism, that in my indoor environment everywhere I am breathing the same air, it will make sense. But creating a chamber, a small chamber of pure air, and then exposing myself to the rest of the outer world with unpurified air will not make sense. So unless we have ambient air control in the outer atmosphere, air purifiers alone are not going to help. So it has to be an integrated approach to making air purifier useful and relevant. We have to control the entire atmosphere. It cannot be done in a piecemeal manner by simply installing an air purifier at one place.
Definitely. I think I completely agree that the evolution of technology is going to play a key role in parallel to the efforts that we are doing for improving the overall ambient quality, because air purifiers are like a solution but not the long-term answer.
And at the same time, it makes a sense of complacency, which is more dangerous. I have installed an air purifier, I'm good. So no more air purifier. That is a very dangerous situation. One more small point I want to add. Like there is a trade-off. When you are going in the car, for 1 month I carried my air quality monitor in the car. It's right that over a 1 hour journey that I take from Noida to going to my office, the CO2 levels which started at 450, by the time I reached my office reached 1400. But at the same time, if I put the windows down and let the indoor air come in, the PM 2.5 level, which was 15, has gone up to 80. Now it's my choice whether I want carbon dioxide as my poison or PM 2.5 as my poison. That's very difficult to choose between the two.
It's like choosing a lesser devil. Okay, great point. We'll go ahead with the last question for the day in interest of the time. But, okay, let's go ahead with the question, then I'll mention a comment. This question is addressed to Ms. Pratna. Would implementing stricter vehicle emissions and efficiency standards help, or do we need more?
See, there are 3 aspects. There is policy, there's regulation, and there's implementation. So when you have stricter vehicular standards, it's policy, and how it translates to action is where the issue comes. I think India is great as far as policy is concerned. We had an Air Act in 1981, but we've not been able to we have regulatory measures, but what we've not been able to do is track progress. So by tracking progress, I mean that cities world over, they track progress, they set a target, and they try to achieve that target. So when it comes to vehicular policy also, that's what I think we need to look at, because while you do set these standards, today you know that there are only very few automobile manufacturers which are producing vehicles which can adhere to that standard. So it will take some time, there's a time lag. So that issue needs to be looked at. Is it possible that we achieve policy within that particular time, and how is the implementation going to happen? Second, I think it's not just about vehicular standards. We need to look at air quality in a much more holistic way, because vehicular standards is just part of the problem. And if you look at a city like Delhi, we have since April, implemented it, but we are still facing air pollution. So I think the whole approach of just looking at vehicles doesn't work. But policy at any level is great. I mean, I think we have some great policies, but what we need to do is look at, from policy to action. Just a small example before I conclude. I said, in China, you set your targets, and if you don't meet your targets, the cities are ranked against each other. And that's what's happening in the Smart Cities mission also in India. You have a ranking process, so people want to do stuff. The commissioners the CEOs of the Smart Cities mission want to achieve standards. So I think one of the things that India really, really needs is this tracking of progress. Whether we've set we need to set targets that we have to achieve this within this period of time. Otherwise, we just be remembering air pollution as soon as October starts.
Right, and now it's a year-round affair, like more than 300 days a year, I think the air quality is not in the safe zone. So, and in fact, like you rightly said, the cause of the pollution is not restricted to one source as well. A lot of people have this tendency to understand that, it's happening because of the stubble burning in Punjab. Let me tell you, that's not the only reason. If it was, then you will not have that kind of an air quality around the year, right? And as far as policy is concerned, I think when in the second panel discussion with Ms. Radhika Goyal, I think we'll be talking more about policy and governance. So I'll park that item for that discussion. To conclude, I would say, because we had less time, so we could not go through all the questions, I think we had a lot more to share, which also means that when the session ends, we are open for you to walk up to us and ask any kind of questions. One important point that I really want to mention is that to solve any problem, whether you see this panel, the upcoming panels, or the reputed folks that spoke this morning, nothing is going to be achieved if there is no partnership. We have to foster partnerships, public, private, NGOs, individuals, citizen groups. If they keep doing individual work with different objectives defined, they may have their own set of victories, but the nature is not going to win them. So I would request that anyone working in the domain of air pollution to come together, be open for partnering, and that's when we can really achieve the desired results. Thank you everyone, thank you all the panelists.